Hear ye, hear ye. I call this meeting to order. It's 7:03. Welcome to the Human Rights Commission meeting. This meeting is being recorded. And let me make sure to turn on the closed caption thingy. Yeah, it's on. So the closed captions are available if you want them. And please try to speak one at a time so the closed captioning can try to figure out what everybody is saying. I thought it was enabled. Okay, now it's enabled. Okay, so what was I gonna say? Eileen and Jeremy can't make it, and Yana. So why don't we start checking in? What about, I didn't come up with a check-in question. Oh, what about, what is your favorite Girl Scout cookie? Potentially a contentious question. I'm gonna go first, which is that I'm vegan, so only certain ones are like available to me, but including some of the best ones, which is the Thin Mints and the peanut butter one with the chocolate on it. Those are both vegan, which I buy in like really supportive quantities. What about you, Teresa?
I think this was my first year buying cookies, and I was really surprised. I really liked I don't know what they are, but they're very thin, but they were with chocolate, and I think they had coconut, but they were pleasantly surprised, I would say. So, all right, Lindsay, you want to go next?
So I've never done this from a film before, so I apologize in advance. I love the mint ones. Those are my favorite. I love everything mint. I also apologize because I can't see everyone in this format. So Maria, have you gone yet? I'm not sure. My quality is terrible.
I have not gone. Thank you, Lindsay. Yeah, I'm with Benny. It's a tie between Thin Mints, but they have to be in the refrigerator. I will only eat Thin Mints cold. And the chocolate coated peanut butter ones. I know there's the peanut butter patties too. Anything peanut butter I love, but the chocolate, yeah, the chocolate coated peanut butter, absolutely. Daniela.
I think it's been over 22 years since I'd had a Girl Scout cookie. I don't think I've ever bought them myself either. But I can share my favorite cookie, which some people love or they hate. It's oatmeal raisin. Sometimes I get really sad because I'm also vegan and I go to Whole Foods and I've been looking for oatmeal raisin cookies and I see chocolate chip, which are so close. And I'm like, but no. So I should really just make them myself. It's not that hard. Nicole? We're going over what our favorite Girl Scout cookies are.
Okay, mine are the Samoas, and then they have this new one that I just had. I think it's the s'mores that are so good. Those are my two favorite ones. And then I don't know, did anybody else not go? Oh, Elizabeth.
So I'm going to first thank everyone who has bought Girl Scout cookies because Girl Scout cookies used to pay my salary. Daniela, if you need someone to proselytize Girl Scout cookies to you and tell you why you should buy them, I'm happy to at some other point. I have eaten an enormous number of Girl Scout cookies as a former professional Girl Scout and can answer all your Girl Scout cookie questions. My favorites are actually no longer made. They are the lemon chalet creams. They're a sandwich cookie with a lemon cream in the middle and a like vanilla-y lemon cookie or maybe a like cinnamon vanilla cookie. They were really, really good. But my second favorite is Thin Mints. I don't stick them in the fridge. I stick them in the freezer. Even better. And I will pass it on to Stephen, your favorite Girl Scout cookie.
I think you just outed yourself as the Girl Scout professional as soon as you mentioned that freezer trick with the Thin Mints. I mean, clearly that's, yep, that's how you know you're a pro. I'm usually a samosa, right? Is that it? The coconut caramel, but then recently we were in Tombstone, Arizona, and there was a Girl Scout selling Girl Scout cookies right where the stagecoach goes by, like on the old Wild West. And she had a s'mores cookie that I hadn't had before, which is their s'mores version that is a sandwich. That is a graham cookie with fudge and marshmallow layer. And I said, well, sheesh, we should move. And then so we can get these cookies. And then, so I think that's my new favorite. So,
Stephen, you can get cookies from that bakery. You buy them in New Hampshire.
good to know. I would hurt my daughter's feelings, her being a daisy. But you know, we have to make sacrifices. I'm sorry I'm late, so I don't know if everyone has gone or who hasn't. Sherry.
I think you were describing Malamars, which are really hard to get. I grew up with them in New York City, and those are chocolate covered marshmallow with graham cracker on the bottom. The closest you can get around here is Pinwheels by Nabisco.
Also good.
Close, but not, but the Pinwheels have a chocolate cookie bottom. Anyway, I have to say that I used to really like the Thin Mints, and I like them refrigerated, but somehow or another, I don't know why, but the cookies, maybe it's because I got old and my taste buds died, but they don't taste as good as they used to. What tastes good is homemade biscotti, you know, things like that I'll make myself.
And I think, Emma, you're the last one. We're talking about what is your favorite Girl Scout cookie?
I was also a former Girl Scout, but I would have to say my favorite is peanut butter patty.
The dueling peanut butter cookies.
Mm.
All right, cool. I forgot to call the roll, so let's do that now. I am present. Teresa,
Here.
Lindsay. Lindsay, are you here?
Here.
Okay, thank
Here.
you. I know your connection is messed up. I'm sorry. Maria,
I'm here.
Daniela,
Here.
Nicole,
I'm here, and for those who don't know, I'm running the marathon this year, so I haven't
No
seen anybody
way.
to tell you, so just want you to know.
holy moly. I'm impressed. I ran like 6 miles the other day and I was like, God, this is boring. I can't take it. So
Congratulations, by the way. So private message me if you need like sponsors or anything like that. Sorry. Congratulations. It's amazing.
yeah, amazing. Elizabeth.
Here, and the peanut butter patties are the ones with the chocolate on them.
Oh, what's the other one?
Peanut butter sandwich.
Yeah, no, I say no to that. Steven. Oh wait, I don't know if I have to call you, but I'm gonna call you anyway. Are you here?
I am here.
Sherry?
Yes, I'm here.
Emma?
I'm here.
Excellent. Thanks, everybody. I don't think there's anyone from the public to participate, so we can go on to approval of the minutes. So we have the WHRC minutes from last month. Does anybody have any edits, additions, changes that they would like to see reflected in the minutes? Great. If there are none, does anybody want to move that we approve the minutes?
Sorry, I couldn't undo my mute button. I'll move to approve the minutes from what month are we in? The February general meeting.
Second.
Excellent. Teresa, what do you say about
I
that?
wasn't
Oh,
here,
yeah.
so I mean, yeah, I missed it. So
Great. Lindsay also was not here, I believe. Am I thinking right about that?
Right.
Yeah, Maria, how about you?
Yes.
Daniela,
Yes.
Nicole,
Yes.
Elizabeth,
Yes.
Sherry,
Yes.
and Emma, you also were not here last month, right? Yeah. Okay, well, that sounds good. Oh, and I say yes also. So the next one after that is the International Women's Day Subcommittee meeting, and there's 4 of them that we can lump together. There's the January 21st, February 1st, February 10th, and February 22nd. Are there any changes to any of those meetings that any of the 3 of you, well, I guess Eileen's not here, but any of the 2 of you want to make?
No, Emma was also on the subcommittee.
Oh,
So
great.
Larry and Emma. Yep.
Could you just repeat the dates again so I can make sure I have them correct in here?
Yeah, it's January 21st,
Mhm.
February 1st, February 10th, and February 22nd.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, so any one of the 3 of you, if there's no edits that need to be made, can move to approve those minutes.
So I make a motion to approve the minutes for the 4 previously mentioned meetings for the International Women's Day Subcommittee.
I second.
Great. Maria, how do you vote?
Yes.
Emma?
Yes.
Sherry?
Yes.
Fabuloso. So since we haven't actually met since we like aired the MLK CSK Day event, I didn't know if there was any like report back or sharing that, Teresa, that you wanted to do, or anyone from that subcommittee.
No, I mean, I think I thought it came out great. Thinking about everything that we kind of had to pull through at the end. Obviously, I think lesson learned. It's to kind of plan for both in the future. Obviously, hopefully next year we won't be in the same boat, but I think that was definitely difficult to, think about something and then kind of had to switch it at the end for a whole different format that we weren't really ready for. And then I think another thing that we discussed in the meetings at some point was maybe to get together with other groups from like maybe another town like Melrose or Stoneham and try to collaborate in organizing the events together. I think that's something that came up, and I think it'll probably be useful for the future to kind of do those events like that as groups. I don't know, Nicole, if you want to add anything.
No, yeah, that unfortunately I was out of town, so I didn't get to see it air on WCAT. But I had the link for the video, and same thing, I thought it came out well. I enjoyed it. So, and I think also working with another group instead of duplicating, and everybody can share in the town's celebrations, I think it would be a good addition.
Yeah, Sherry, go ahead.
Has the link been posted on our webpage? Because I was there today and I saw the International Women's Day. I didn't see that one.
I thought it was shared. I thought that's how I
can
got
double
it.
check with Jen, but I thought it went out to both of us. Anyway, I'll check.
Yeah, I thought it went from the Week of Human Rights.
But okay, I can email her. Oh, I think I sent her to you actually. She sent an email to me about like, do you want me to post anything along with the video link, like a blurb or something? And I think I forwarded her to you, Teresa. I don't know if she emailed you. I didn't forward her. I said like email Teresa. I don't know if
Oh, okay. I will have to look because I don't remember that, but I'll look.
Let me circle back with her and just be like, hey, did you ever get this posted? Okay. But it did go up on our Facebook page and it's on the WCAT, you know, like YouTube page or whatever. So you can watch it anytime you want. I thought it was fabulous. Thought the dance stuff was great. Like the dance performances. I was so pleased that, like, I don't think the years that I have been here, the like maybe 3 years that I've seen the event, I haven't seen there be a dance performance. So I thought that was an awesome addition. And the art, and I don't know, I thought it was great. So thank you all for the work that you did on that. And I like the idea. I'm glad that you're bringing up, yeah, this sort of like feedback for next time of collaborating with other towns. I think about that too with international, with come on, brain, Indigenous Peoples Day, about collaborating sort of like as a, you know, a couple of towns, because one piece of feedback that I got when planning this year's event and like listening to what other towns were planning is there's a lot of like artisans and speakers and like various folks from Native communities who get called upon to do Indigenous Peoples Day events, which is good. And I think that there's like a lot of wonderful things about having those events. And there's like just like a high burden on the folks who are being called upon to like share and participate in those. So like teaming up with different towns was like a suggestion that they made. So I like that idea in general. And then it gets like, I don't know, I feel like you get more exposure because you have like a couple different towns where the people looking at the event and stuff. So love it. Any other like final thoughts about that event that, or like ideas for next year or anything that we want to capture? Cool. What about then moving on to the International Women's Day event? Share back or any thoughts or anything from either from the people who planned it or from anyone who had watched the event?
Can I just, for the International Women's Day, I signed up and I could not find my confirmation anywhere in my email. I don't know if it came under the library or whatever. So I was quite disappointed that I didn't get a chance to see it, but I'm gonna watch it on the link. I see the link is up now. But I just wanted to say that because I looked through everything and I don't know, I don't know why I don't know where it was, the confirmation, so I don't know.
It came out at 4 o'clock in the afternoon from the library. That's their customary way of doing it. And I just want to do a little shout out. Teresa, you were just marvelous as one of our panelists. She was just, you really give yourself a treat for an hour. It was just wonderful. Maria said she could have watched it for 2 more hours. It was just wonderful. What delightful, candid people we had represented at that panel. It was just wonderful. And Maureen did, as usual, a wonderful job of moderating. It will be an hour well spent. You will enjoy it, guaranteed.
Yeah, I second that. I think that we just had a great, very honest, very real panel. I mean, there were moments that like literally made you tear up, and then there were other moments that made you laugh, and it was just like, I don't know, it just was such a great reminder that hearing people's stories is how we connect with each other. And there were things that we could there were just things that you could relate to, and things that brought in your mind. And it was just really, it made me very happy to be a part of that. So, yeah.
And the Post Press has been even sent out to neighboring towns for which I have newspapers. And I'm going to send you all the latest copy of the program planning sheet that gives you all the links, because we have links to Linfield, Melrose, and North Reading as well. So I sent it out to those newspapers as well as the Item, the Observer, the usual patch stuff. But so we had nearly 36 people at the event itself. And we're hoping, I don't know if we'll ever be able to figure out how many people watch it after the event, but I got a lot of individual questions from people saying, when can I get the link? Because they couldn't attend during the event itself. Lots of Book by the Lakes people wanted to watch it because they usually come to the live program.
Yeah, the link is on WCAT's YouTube, right? That's what it goes to.
It's yes, and it's on our webpage, and it's also on our Facebook page. So it's been on Patch, and I'm going to remind people again on Patch. I'll send it out another time if you haven't had a chance. Remember to go, watch this.
Yeah, I was just thinking because you can see on YouTube how many views the video has had.
Oh, okay, okay. So I will keep promoting it because we had, like I said, this wonderful panel of people who were amazingly forthcoming and spent time with us and shared so honestly. So I hope more people get to see it.
Yeah.
And people ask great questions too at the end. We thought we'd have to seed the chat box with questions. I kept on typing things in thinking, oh my God, I don't know if anyone's typed anything in. And they didn't need my questions at all. People had much better questions.
How was it? Oh, sorry, Lindsay, you have a hand up. Go ahead. Lindsay, can you hear us? Oh, yes, there you go.
You're muted.
Sorry, my connection is terrible here. So there's a limit to how long I'm going to be able to last. But me and Yana were talking about different ways to promote different activities. And I know this isn't necessarily like maybe directly related to this, but in the future, we do have a lot of really good ideas in mind for how to promote different events and different activities that we put on through HRC. So hopefully that's helpful through Instagram specifically.
We did send out information to Yana and Emma so that we could reach the students too, since we don't have, WHRC does not have an Instagram account, but they said yes, that they would distribute that information to the students, the younger population as well. I also reached out to the Girl Scouts, and
we're working on like a bypass through the whole like HRC not having an Instagram page because we know that and we know that we can't. So me and Yana are working together to sort of collaborate to see what we can come up with that doesn't have to go through like a million different channels, so that we can get like mental health stuff out there as well as our events as well. So that would be helpful, hopefully.
Excellent. And I will add it to our program promotion so everybody will have it in their resource toolbox.
How did it go collaborating with the library, Sherry? Was it like, do you think they would want to do it again, or?
They were fabulous. They every time I sent them information, she redid the registration page and enhanced it. They were terrific. And not only that, but when I was in the library, I think it's still there. They had a display for Women's History Month. And at the very top of the display, they had our flyer advertising the program. And I'm going to give them an alternative one that advises people that if they missed it, they can, catch it on the WCAT or our Facebook pages.
Awesome. Any other thoughts or anything anyone wants to share about the International Women's Day event?
Oh, one other thing. I had asked the library, and they integrated this, if they would include on the registration a question asking people permission for us to be able to email them in the future, so we can start having some sort of email distribution list. And they added that to the registration, and just about everybody said sure. So we have I already have it. I have a list of email, I think 30 possible email that people that we could reach directly who are interested. And I'm not sure what the town rule is about emails, but if I have to, I would send them personally, just to get out to more people.
Yeah, I think that Eileen had reached out to Jen, or I got an email from Jen McDonald with Eileen CC'd on it, saying something about like, it didn't have to do with sort of town policy or anything. It really was about like technological. She was like, let me double check and see if Outlook has like a kind of a ceiling on how many people you can have on one email. But she didn't say anything about like a reason that we wouldn't be able to send something to an email list. So hopefully that can be a thing we can do. So hold on to that, Sherry. Hold on to that list as we sort of like get confirmation about that. Cool. So it seems like we should talk about, we have international, we have, I keep wanting to say International Women's Day. It's like on my brain, which is good. We have Asian American Pacific Islander Heritage Month coming up in May and Pride coming up in June. So those are the next two events that are on the horizon. And as we are convening the subcommittees to work on those, there's a question about like in-person events, you know, like, are we doing it? Are we like, what's the plan? Oh, Lindsay, I see your hand. Yeah, go.
Sorry, I don't know, hang on. I don't know if my mute is on, but Mental Health Awareness Month is coming up as well in May, I believe. So me and Yana have been talking about that. And in addition to the many things that we do, I think it would be cool to integrate that in some capacity. Like I said, I don't know how long I can be here, so I apologize in advance, but I have been working behind the scenes with Yana and some other influencers through Instagram to see how we can kind of, like I said, bypass the HRC regulations, because those can be hefty with your working through the youth council to promote some of these like positive mental health, positive and everything else positive events. And that's coming up as well too. So I wanted, hopefully that can be on the agenda for something that we do, because that affects all different communities. I mean, Indigenous people, LGBTQ, like everything. So mental health is just important across the board. So I just wanted to throw that out there as well as coming up events and months to be aware of.
Since you mentioned that you might not be able to stay on, do you want to give us an update of what you and Yana have been working on?
Sure, would that be okay? I'm sorry, everyone. Just the internet's terrible, and I don't know my audio how that's working. But I've been working with Yana. We had a meeting last month, and we're going to have another one this month about working with the youth council around. We come up with some ideas around like each individual member of the youth advocacy council. I apologize, I can't talk today. Coming up with different ideas. I have, this is going to sound random, but I have a mental health Instagram cat page. So trying to kind of model it off of that, where like each kid gives an idea of like a coping skill they use every day or like every week, or something that helps like benefit their mental health or what they do for self-care, while also maybe like we discussed in the last meeting that I was with, like using some of the funding that we have towards promoting some of these posts to promote awareness of our events as well. So I've been in communication with Yana as well as some other influencers that like are pretty good with I don't know how they do it, but integrating like mental health with these weird like cat comics that are oddly like very informative and very helpful from like a licensed mental health person. So I've been talking to Yana about that, and hopefully I can attend one of their meetings as well to see how I can sort of give them some guidance. But we do have like we have meeting minutes from the it was just me and Yana, but we do have we have meeting minutes from that meeting that she and I had, and I've been in touch with a couple of influencers who can help us use some of their content before other people got to it, which is pretty cool because it's really, really good content. So hopefully we can do that. And I would love to have a panel of speakers, maybe some youth in the community talking about mental health and the way that like COVID has impacted it and how they've been doing and what they've been using as tools. There is a massive mental health like crisis going on right now. So I really feel like regardless of population, like mental health really is a priority. And there's a lot of people out there of all different socioeconomic statuses, like gender, race, everything, like notwithstanding that could really benefit from information from us being connected to it, which we really haven't been for the most part. Like I went on our page for mental health and the resources. There's not one resource on our page that has anything connected to like suicide prevention or even uses the word suicide. So I think that we all need to be having conversations around like ways to increase mental health awareness in the community, specifically like as it affects youth and our community as a whole, because it's a really big deal. And there are no therapists out there. So I feel like if we can get like general community information out there, it's better than what we have, which is basically nothing. So I just want to throw that out there. So thank you, everyone. Thank you.
Do you, you mentioned wanting to put together a panel. Is that something that you and Yana are planning to do together, or do you need like, I don't know, what do you need?
I honestly think, like, if I'm being honest, like too many cooks kind of thing, where I think Yana's been fantastic. She is absolutely phenomenal and a leader as like a youth in the community, and she's going to be an asset to this and to the HSC connecting to this. So I feel like if it's okay with everyone, if like me and Yana continue to work together to work towards this, that would be great. We have a really good plan in place with some topics aligned. And like I said, I can send you the minutes from it was just the two of us. So I didn't think we needed to, because it wasn't like a group. But we do have minutes from that meeting that me and Yana had, and there's another one coming up mid-March that I'll be home for. So hopefully I can attend that. And they also have a number of speakers through the youth council that come and advocate for youth as well. Like I said, a really, really good way to help promote some of our events, because we can do it through them and they're willing to do it. So I think if we can find ways to do our events in like a youth or community friendly way, like we can't have an Instagram page, but Instagram is the way to get people these days. Like Facebook, we can do that, but it's a little bit outdated. And I'm finding that like with youth, Instagram is it's hitting home more. So if we can find like youth friendly ways and community friendly ways to promote our events and mental health awareness, I think that would be great. So that's what I've got, and we're working on. And I will be going to another meeting, I think in March, with Yana to see more and hopefully get a panel of speakers together and see what we can do. And even if we can't, I think even posting weekly on some sort of an Instagram page, like, what do you do for mental health? What do you do for self-care? What do you do for whatever, promoting mental health awareness from kids? I think that will be really relatable.
Yeah, that sounds awesome. I wanted to say, you mentioned about the HRC's website. We can put whatever we want on there. I think if we send it to Jen McDonald, she'll put it on there. So if you have, I know that you've already sent me lists of resources, Lindsay, but if you have one that's like kind of written out in a way that's like sort of a final draft or whatever, like final wording of how you would.
Well, the one that I sent you is the one that I post on my personal client portal for my
Okay.
clients for my private practice. So, I mean, you could use that, but also like anything. I mean, there's so many hotlines out there, but we have nothing that actually says the word suicide. And I know that's really uncomfortable for a lot of people, but that's the reality of where we are. So I think that like as a town and as, for promoting mental health, I think we do need to raise awareness of suicide prevention and provide the resources for that without seeming like we're shying away from the language or away from the topic, because it's so important. So like I said, I did look over the town websites and some other town websites, and we don't have anything that even says the word suicide prevention or like anything specific to literally anything. And half the information that we do have linked to our page specifically or the town itself is outdated or not working, or they don't hold wait lists. So I think like updating that or providing some additional resources in addition to what we already have might be helpful. And like I said, what I sent is pretty much what we had to that point, but with COVID, it's ever changing with availability and with wait lists and things like that. So having some hotlines and some like across the board national resources might be really helpful as well for everybody.
So when you were looking at the town's website, like, is there another place on the town's website where resources like that are listed, or should like?
There is some kind of link that's like mental health resources, but it basically just, like I said, it shies away from the word suicide. It says basically it'll link to what you would expect to see, like, I forget specifically, I'm sorry what was on there, but it wasn't specific to anything that would be currently helpful or would align with our current barriers in relation to COVID or the remote kind of model that we currently have.
Yeah, sure. Go ahead.
I think it would be very good if you worked in concert with the town's health department. The town has its own committee and health department and people who, because this is part of, health is all kinds, physical, mental health and whatever. So there already is a town body, and perhaps you can, besides, we can cross-pollinate and cross-post.
Sure. What I found,
website and theirs.
I'm sorry. What I found is honestly, like the communication between the two, like nothing really happens with that. It goes through a number of motions. It takes months, but like just to post information that is publicly available, I think that we don't, I'm not sure. I think collaborating sometimes it takes longer than actually just doing it ourselves. And when it's public information that's posted like for the public to be able to see like on the internet, I don't know that we need to collaborate in order to do that. I think that it should just be made aware that the Human Rights Commission is on board with supporting people's mental health regardless of anything. So while I do agree that collaborating is a really good idea and me and Yana are working towards doing that, I also think that independent of collaboration, it's important that HRC be known for like, you know, our ability to provide at least resources to support mental health, and you know, without the collaboration piece, which I also think that's helpful and it's on there, but like I said, they also shy away from using the word suicide or anything that's directly related to what we've been going through as a community and as a country, as a world, you know, with COVID and with, you know, the mental health crisis. So while I agree that collaboration is extremely important, I've been doing that for the past few months, and just the time it takes to try to collaborate takes more than the time it would take for me to get the information out there or to hold a Q&A myself, honestly, as a professional. So I do think that's very helpful, and I'll continue to work towards doing that. But I've done more with Yana in a month than I've been able to do in 6 months with HRC by trying to collaborate. So I wonder how much progress we can make in that direction.
All right, so Daniela and Elizabeth both have their hands up. Go ahead, Daniela. You're muted.
Oh, sorry.
So I see what you mean. I went on the, you know, it's wakefield.ma.us/mental health. And there's also the Health and Human Services page. I see what you're saying, where there's a Samaritan's hotline. Samaritan's is an anti-suicide prevention.
Yes, but it doesn't actually say anything about what it, yes, you and I are aware of that, but
Lindsay,
we aren't.
Lindsay, can you let Daniela finish what she was
Oh, I'm
saying?
sorry, I apologize, of course.
Thank you.
Sorry.
The point that I'm trying to make is, I get what you're saying, but where the Human Rights Commission is to focus on civil and human rights, and it's more along culture and ethnicities and genders, it's just more about like a different sort of groups. People aren't going to necessarily come to us for those type of resources. So I just wonder, like, where is the viability of us having it on our page when the town's very board that should be presenting these materials doesn't have it? So, you know, if it's not there, I feel like people aren't going to find it by going to the HRC. They're not really going to know. I do think we should be able to support mental health. It's super critical. It impacts a lot of different communities. I don't know how valuable it'll be for us to be the ones who have the resources. It's not going to be like super obvious for someone to be like, oh, look at all these commissions. Let me go to the human rights one for mental health resources. That's not going to be intuitive at all. So it'll take a lot of and a lot of work on us to have to even put it out there. And even that, it's only going to work that one time that we put it out there. So when someone's trying to go back to the website later on, you know, do you know what I mean? And Elizabeth.
Sure. Thank you for your feedback. Thank you.
So, Lindsay, I appreciate the work that you and Yana are doing. And I do really also appreciate your passion for this. And I'm wondering if we're getting close to like functioning in a way that is not actually part of our role. And what I mean specifically is that we are also an official town body. And I'm concerned, like, my understanding is that we're not supposed to have meetings without them being publicly posted. And so maybe I'm off. This is partly like, is this also okay? Question for those of you who know things better than I do. And also, we can't just function independently of the town. We are also an official town body. Things that we can do privately, it is true, can always move faster than we can move as a body of the town. But what I don't want to see happen is I don't want us as the HRC to like lose access to the way that we function in the town, and because we aren't functioning within the confines that exist for us. It's a whole lot, like, it is true that there is bureaucratic red tape that's part of any official body of any town or city. And I just, I feel, no, I'm hearing things that make me wonder, is this a way of doing things that isn't actually okay or approved for us? And so I'm left with some concerns about like multiple meetings that are happening without being publicly posted, and an idea that we could do like health resources without collaborating with the town, and it makes me nervous.
Just to be clear, we've not had multiple meetings or meetings at all about anything. I've spoken to Yana specifically, Yana only, and I've spoken separately without Yana present to other people who could influence like how to further promote mental health content, but there have been no meetings. And like I said, I did make meetings for the one-on-one meeting that I had with Yana, which Benny was aware of and other people were as well. There have been no meetings. And in terms of doing things outside of the town's approval, that's not something that we're looking to do. We're just looking to promote mental health awareness. That's all, and ways to look to promote HRC activities outside of having our own Instagram page, which we can't do through the town, or that's what I've been told. That's all. We're not looking to bypass the town or any rules affiliated with that. And there have not been multiple meetings. Me and Yana have spoken specifically and directly, just the two of us, which I did write minutes for rather, but there have been meetings just to ease concerns related to that has not happened. Not meetings. Like me and Yana specifically have spoken, but no meetings, just to be clear.
So I think maybe we should clarify some stuff about the open meeting law. So it is possible for people to just like meet to collaborate on a thing that doesn't necessarily like rise to the definition of a subcommittee that has to be publicly announced, and there have to be minutes that are approved in the open meeting and all this stuff. There's like, to me, I will say, and Maria, maybe you know more, I've always felt that there's like some confusing gray area between like what is just a collaboration between a couple people on the HRC, like working on a particular like thing that has to get done, versus a subcommittee that's like planning an event or like doing an HRC related something or other. I don't really know like where the line is there, but I don't know, Maria, if you have any insight.
Yeah,
on that.
I think several conversations between two people, I think is fine. Where I might pause is as you're gathering all of these resources, before you put it out with the attachment of the Human Rights Commission, whether it's on Instagram or on anything else, that it needs to come back to the full board for a vote for approval. And I know that was your intention. So, and yeah, I'm not accusing you of not doing that or anything like that. But yeah, I think conversations between two people where it hasn't been declared a subcommittee is not a quorum. So I think you're okay thus far. It never hurts to just check in with Tom Mullen, the town council, COUNSEL, not council, the former Board of Selectmen, but just to run it by him. But from what I think I have a pretty good understanding of the open meeting law, and I think you're okay.
Thank you for the clarification. Like I said, there have been no meetings. It was just me and Yana. We had a FaceTime conversation. I did minutes rather, just to be safe, but there have been no meetings and no planning and no events that have occurred. So I just wanted to be clear. So thank you for clarifying that. I do appreciate that. Thank you.
Yeah, no,
just going back to what Daniela said, I would have to agree with her. Like, I feel like listening, and the youth council or the youth council has Catherine Dingra, who's really working on mental health services, and that's a whole nother body. And if we're going to encompass that, I think we are going to have to redo it, and not just what you're saying, Lindsay, redoing it, not just focusing on suicide, but maybe focusing on suicide or mental health as it relates to other races and culture, but not just focusing on that. And I think
100%. I was just using that as an example. I apologize.
right. But I think that really needs to go towards like the mental health services that, I mean, I don't think that we can be that resource, as Daniela was saying. We can say like it's a public health emergency, but again, that needs to go to the public health department. They need to do it, or however we're making it having to do with the culture or the race that, or the human rights issues that we are focusing on. Like if AAPI is in May and mental health related to AAPI, that's what we need to do, not just by a standalone mental health and suicide prevention. I don't think that's our position right now. And that's not our position as the town body.
Yeah, so like folding it in, which is what I heard some of what you were saying, was it was folding it into all the other, like, that it can be so relevant for so many of the issues that we do, you know, like talk about or work on or whatever. So I like that. And I know that Facebook is super outdated, but I will say, as one of our Facebook, whatever it's called, people who post stuff, admins, if you do have content that you want to post, you can always send it to me, like this kind of stuff of like, happy Pride, by the way, like blah, 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 some helpful information related to like LGBTQIA identities and mental health. And I think it could be, if you send me that stuff relating to HRC issues or whatever, we can post it on the Facebook page too. What else? Other thoughts on this? Thanks for bringing it up, Lindsay. And I'm glad that you pushed it up on the agenda, because I know that you're, you know, it was like a little lower down and I didn't want you to like have to leave and then we couldn't discuss it. So good. Okay, I'm gonna jump backwards then to this question about in-person events and should we be starting to plan for them? You know, we had this experience with MLK CSK Day, which is like certainly not something we ever want to have to repeat. This like trying to do an in-person event that then has to get canceled. But we're coming into May and June when outdoor events are more possible and stuff like that. So I don't know, what are people's thoughts? What direction should we be aiming at? Because I imagine the subcommittees are going to start meeting for those for AAPI month and for Pride. So having a plan, I think, will be helpful.
It's outside. I don't see, it probably won't be canceled.
Yeah.
That's
Seconded. I think, you know, last year we had the Pride event outside and I think it also rained.
I totally did.
Yeah. So I think it's worth it. It's going to be nice enough to be outside. Now, I think the question is, what about in-person meetings indoors? I think that's a bigger question. And
Yeah, I mean, I think there's two pieces. One is like, if they're like, say we have an event planned for outdoors, do we reserve an indoor space as a rain backup space? You know, like this thing is happening outside, but like if it's raining, we've reserved the library or something. Like, do we want to be planning for any kind of indoor event options? And then also our meetings, I don't even know what the last time I asked Sherry about this, she was like, no, meet on Zoom. And I was like, okay, yes, ma'am. So I don't even know if they would want us to be having indoor meeting, in-person meetings or not, but.
I hope that we can have, instead of the multiple AAPI events we had last year, just one or two larger live events in which people really celebrate the cultures In fact, that was one of the things that was discussed even among the women on International Women's Day, that when people are exposed to those things, whether it's food, music, costume, dance, just like what we did for Hispanic Heritage, they get so much greater appreciation for the culture. Now, we still have the map, and I will set that up and cart it around. You know, people will become aware of the different countries that are involved in that April-May celebration. But I would hope that we could start thinking about having 1 or 2 live events for in April and May for AAPI.
So I think the question is not, can we have live events? It's, can we have indoor events?
Yeah, I mean, indoor live events, because for instance, if we're having something like, I don't know, like Bollywood type dancing, it would be much easier if we were at the AmeriCorps Center. And they did have that event in October with all of the Halloween kids going around, and that was in
Sure did.
AmeriCorps, yeah. And everyone was indoors, and we were masked, but we were all indoors. So perhaps I want to be optimistic. And if I have to be sworn in again to be on the commission. So I don't even know if I'm going to be around to do this stuff officially, but I would be very happy to help. And we have Benny, you and I had a wonderful group of local moms to help us as well. Plus we've met some more people through International Women's Day that might be able to help us with this as well. So I'm hoping that we can have a live indoor event, that, a performance event, that also people could get on the dance floor and learn how to do those Bollywood steps, like I did in my NIA class, which is really fun. Or other kinds of, listening to other kinds of music live is very different than listening to it over Zoom. To be in the same room as the musicians is quite different. And of course, there's always food. We can't do that over Zoom. So I'm hoping that we can. And do you get a sense, I'm curious, do you get a sense the town thinks we can start moving towards these events?
Yeah, Maria and Nicole.
So just 2 events that I know that are coming up that are indoor events are the musical at the Galvin is at the beginning of May, and town meeting is also indoors at the Galvin in, I think, May 16th. So I think that's two examples of large events where they are taking place indoors. I don't know if it's, I mean, the fact that the mask mandate isn't in place anymore, I'm assuming masks will be optional. If cases change, obviously they'll need to make changes as necessary, but yeah, they are moving forward with having indoor events.
I was just going to concur with Maria. 2 weeks ago, we had a winter percussion and color guard championship or whatever competition at the Galvin. Over 45 teams came. It was standing room only, no parking whatsoever, and it was full to capacity. So I don't think probably 10 people had a mask on in the whole thing. And they used the cafeteria, there was food. It was a revolving door. So I agree with Maria, things are open.
Are the schools having live sporting events with audiences now as well?
Yeah, that was the winter percussion. That's a high school event.
Okay.
And so like as far as Dartmouth came with like at least 15 piece band in the gym.
Yeah, Emma and then Lindsay.
I just wanted to add, we have school now without masks, so they've dropped all the mandates for that as well. And we just had senior show where around 300 or 400 people were at the Galvin.
Wow.
I don't think anyone was wearing masks there, and there was also a lot of like live performances. So that's just something to keep in mind.
Lindsay, go ahead. Lindsay's connection, I think, is sabotaging her.
Thank you. I'm excited and congratulations on your success with in-person events, because I cannot wait to be back. It's terrible. I'm so sorry. Just to speak to, without realizing it, I think a lot of the events that we put on are
Lindsay, turn your
actually
camera off
kind
and
of
then
triggering
talk.
person. Okay, sorry.
Turn your
All right,
camera off and then talk.
can you hear me now? Is this
Yeah,
better?
that's
Or
much better.
okay, sorry about that. I know I have terrible connection. A lot of the events that we put on that are amazing and that I can't wait to see more of do cause a lot of emotions for people, which is why I do think it's important to somehow, it's not our responsibility because we are a town entity, but it is our responsibility on some end to make sure that there are supports in place for those people that are triggered potentially by the events that we hold just inherently, you know, as the entity that we are. I mean, we do talk about Indigenous people and, you know, LGBTQ and people of color and different races and different ethnicities and different, all kinds of different things that for different people who are not sure how they identify or not sure if they do. I think they can bring out a lot of feelings for people. So I think, like, as a human rights commission, if we're going to be putting on these events, we do have a certain responsibility to at least have resources available for people to be able to access should they be triggered or questioned or have questions rather, you know, in regards to what these feelings might evoke for these individuals, not like as our role, because I know there's a limit to what we can do, you know, through the town, but I think generally speaking, because I love the events that we put on and I can't wait until they're more in person. But even just that component, I have an 80 client caseload, and out of those 80 people, I would say a good 50% of them are very ambivalent about the mask piece, just speaking of that. So I mean, if we want to have more in-person events, which I really hope that we can, and I think that we should, I think that we should at least, at the very least, like have the mental health piece, you know, in place to help ease people's minds, or at least give them the information that they need so that we can have more attendance at these events as well. And I think that's a piece that can be helpful, you know, from the, you know, raising awareness around mental health as well, like just to protect the community that we're serving, that we're trying to raise awareness around for our population with the Human Rights Commission specifically. I'm not sure if you could hear me or if that was clear. Sorry, guys.
Yeah, we can hear it. Thank you, Lindsay.
Okay, sorry.
So it sounds like there's probably no roadblocks from the town in terms of having indoor events. If some additional variant or surge comes around, we could be in the position again of having to like change track, but there's no real way to, you know, like plan for that. So it seems like what I'm hearing from you all, tell me if I'm getting it wrong, is moving forward with planning in-person events is probably a go. I can find out, well, I guess I want to ask, this is a question I have for you, and I can ask Sherry Dalton about it. If it were allowed for us to be having in-person meetings, is that something people would want to do, or is having remote meetings preferable?
Personally, I like the convenience of being able to do it remote, especially if we ever do get to travel, then you can still dial in. But I wonder, because I saw, I think it was a school committee meeting. I don't know if it was a traditional meeting, but that they were in person. I think there was also some people online. So is hybrid something also that we want to consider? Because I know that some people want to have that face-to-face interaction and sometimes really need it.
Yeah, Stephen, what have you all been doing on school committee?
You might be thinking of town council. I think generally school committee has been sort of in person at WCAT, and WCAT allows a little extra layer of flexibility because like you have the studio. But whether it's in small subcommittees or what I've seen from town council is definitely a hybrid model. And with the number of folks that are sort of in here, even if it was an in-person meeting, you could keep the Zoom link open and just have somebody bring a laptop or something to the meeting. It's maybe not the ideal, but it's still for folks that do find that convenience for whether they're traveling or for some reason, you know, just scheduling would be easier to dial in. It's doable.
Sherry, yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, groups I work with have been experimenting with this, and what they find is dial in an audio using a laptop works pretty well. Video, not well at all, unless you have much better camera and sound equipment. So if we could still have Zoom if we have it for sound, so people could still listen in, but I don't think that we can create the quality of experience. It would be distracting even. It wouldn't even work very well of having video, so fully hybrid. So at least we, so I know because we have board members on one of my groups that come from upstate Maine, the Outer Cape and places like that. And sometimes they can't get to the location and they end up doing a call in through Zoom, and that has worked out. So I think we can still do that, but it would be wonderful if we could all meet in person, because everybody knows that it's very, very hard to get to know each other unless we can, before and after the meetings, talk about our families or whatever, have conversations that are not part of the official record, private conversations, not related to HRC.
Yeah, if we have in-person meetings, you no longer will have to put up with my cheesy check-in questions. 'Cause that's why those exist, is because we don't have any opportunities to like spend time together and get to know each other for the most part.
That's right. I mean, last year at Festival by the Lake, my husband had to come and get me because I was so interested in hanging out and talking to everybody. I wasn't leaving and I was supposed to leave, and I was on crutches. So he came and got me because he was wondering what happened.
He's
So
like,
yes, I
Sherry,
think we all need, we all, I think, would like a little more possibility of having those kind of relationship building conversations since we work so closely together.
yeah. And it is a mix, because I also hear what Danielle is saying. Like, I feel you, not having to like leave the house does make it easier. So there's trade-offs. Well,
It's only once a month.
mhm. You're gunning for it, Sherry. You are like on the in-person train.
Okay, I want to ask you, can we start having committee meetings
In person?
in person? And just go back to what used to happen with in-person meetings was they were not recorded. There were minutes that were taken and minutes that were approved and sent out for the public to see, but there was not a recording. So if we went back to in-person, are we going to have to record everything?
Cannot imagine that we're gonna have to record everything. Let me ask Sherry.
Okay, especially for committees, because it would be, sometimes we can get more done if we're all sitting at the same table with a cup of coffee.
Okay. I can check in about that. Any other thoughts on in-person meetings or events? Cool. Okay, so then I think we should convene a subcommittee for Asian American Pacific Islander Heritage Month and one for Pride. And I'm wondering who might be interested in working on those.
As I said, if I get my formal reappointment, I'd very much like to work on AAPI again.
Cool. I am interested in working on Pride this year because I already started doing it. I'll tell you an update in a second, but because there was some stuff that had to be booked way in advance, I've been already working on some Pride related things. So I'd be interested in doing Pride. Who else
I'd
would
be
be
interested in joining that as well. Sorry, I didn't speak up before because I thought we were speaking out one committee at a time.
I don't know. It's a mix. So the reason I say that is because last year I was on the AAPI committee, but I'm thinking, I don't know if I would be able to do both at the same time. Lindsay, go ahead.
I'd be interested in helping with Pride, like to the best of my ability. Again, my internet keeps going in and out, so just before it goes out again, I'd be interested in that if anyone would want me on that. So.
Cool. Is there anyone else who would be interested in helping out with the AAPI stuff?
Guaranteed it'll be fun.
Yeah, and that one's coming up sooner. Last year we had a great experience. Sherry's mentioned it before there were 3 members of the community. We put out a call through the newspaper and through the school newsletters to be like, anyone interested in being involved in this event, and there was 3 community members who joined us to plan the events, and it was like a really great experience working with folks who were just like game and on board to put together this event. So it was
Yeah,
nice.
and they had the connections to the cultural community.
I'd be interested in joining a committee.
And Emma, it's good to see you up and about again.
Thank you. I'm doing better now.
Oh my gosh, glad to hear it. Welcome back.
Thank you.
Well, there are a couple of people who are not at the meeting today, and maybe they'll want to join with that committee, because we do need like at least 3 people to help out.
Yeah, so we can maybe include it with the minutes, just like, hey, want to point out this is like one particular ask that we have going forward for the upcoming months. So right now what I have is for AAPI, Sherry and Emma, and for Pride, me, Daniela, Lindsay. Anyone? Oh, Elizabeth, I didn't even see you.
Yeah. I also, so particular to Pride, and this might be like further discussion for a subcommittee, I am working on pulling together an interfaith Pride service. So I'd like to be included in meetings and would love to like contribute what I can, but I think that that's gonna be my primary focus. But I'd love to do that in collaboration and coordination with the Human Rights Commission, because I don't want to like double schedule things, right? But that's a space where like I have the space I can offer and like the knowledge to do that in my sleep. So that's a piece that I would work on even separately, but would like to do that with the HRC as well.
Awesome. I'm into it. Yeah, Maria, go ahead.
So 2 things. The first is that, not to add another thing, but Juneteenth, the Juneteenth flag raising, if we wanted to do that, that's something that I would get in touch with the Juneteenth Association that we worked with last year, because they book pretty far out in terms of scheduling performers and speakers for the flag raising. So just to keep that on your radar. And I apologize that I'm not volunteering for anything. Next month is my last meeting with the HRC. So I'm gonna step back and let people take the reins. So, but yeah, I'm not going far. I'll still be in Wakefield. So I plan to be a very active participant in all these events.
Thank you, Maria, for pointing that out. Yeah, I don't know, Nicole, you were involved in getting the North Shore Juneteenth Association involved.
We just had a meeting before this meeting, and I just completely didn't even look if we were on the schedule. We were talking about something completely off, so I'll find that out.
Awesome.
I was just there, that's why I was late, so yeah.
Cool. Okay, well then we can start scheduling those subcommittee meetings. And so let me give you an update about the thing I just mentioned that I was doing regarding Pride, because we learned from painful experience that you have to book any town spaces 3 months in advance. I booked the Common for a concert on June 19th. So come what may, we're having a concert on June 19th next to the bandstand. So I got a musician. I reached out to a friend of mine from college who is a trans musician, singer-songwriter, and he does a lot of work with other trans musicians because of like, he does vocal coaching, he does like a bunch of stuff. And I was like, you don't happen to know anybody in your network in the Boston area, do you? Because we would love to have a queer or trans, you know, singer, songwriter, musician, performer of some kind come and do a concert, because we got this grant for that exact thing. So he connected me with a couple of people, one of whom was like totally stoked and totally wants to do it. So that's cool. We don't have any details. All I have is a approved permit from the city to have a concert on the common. So more details to come. Yeah, but it was pretty painless. I will tell you, I got the permit application in. You do it through an online portal now. So you do the permit application. It's like really pretty brief. It was like very manageable. And because we're a town body, we don't have to pay any of the fees. So normally you have to pay like $300 to book like using the bandstand, and you have to pay $100 for every tent that you want to put up, and you have to pay $100 for every 100 people that you expect are going to attend. There's like, it's a bunch of fees. And so I was emailing Steve Mayo being like, excuse me, and you have to have like liability insurance. They're like, please upload your insurance waiver form. And I'm like, and he was like, oh yeah, no, forget that. You don't have to do any of that. So that was good.
So the
Yeah.
liability insurance comes through the town?
And that's what I'm assuming. He said, since we're a
Okay.
town body, we don't need that. So I think we're covered by the town. He didn't actually say that, but that was my interpretation. So it'll be fun. And I was just thinking, whatever, we can talk about it in the prize subcommittee. I have all kinds of ideas. It'll be fun.
The gears are turning.
Totally.
Do we need to do that for, say, the example, the flag raising? Did we do that last year for Juneteenth?
I don't
Was
think
that-
you have to do do you have to do the permit application? I don't think you have to do that part.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's more
So,
like informal.
Benny, so your event is on June 19th. What time? I
I booked the thing from noon to 3.
So you would want the pride flag to be up, so the Juneteenth flag to come down and the pride flag
Oh.
to be up that day?
Let me go on maybe rearranging
Elizabeth's
the like, what do you call it? Meeting order again for a second, which
Oh,
is
sorry.
I've been talking to the town about this problem with the flagpole and how we have to like take one flag down, put the other flag up. It seems like quite the hassle. Also, that flagpole is like kind of not very conspicuous. And so I have been talking to them since Juneteenth last year of like, is there a way around this? Can we raise both flags? Like, can we use 2 flagpoles? So I finally had a conversation with Tom Mullen last week, and he agreed that it doesn't seem like there would be like a reason that we couldn't change the town flag policy to be able to use 2 different flagpoles. So I'm going in front of the town council in 2 weeks, a week from Monday. It's on their agenda to kind of talk more about this potential change, and like hopefully with Tom Mullen's blessing it will go through. So my hope then would be that we could raise the pride flag at the Civic Hall Center or whatever, and the Juneteenth flag at Town Hall or something along those lines. If they what I'm going to ask them for is that Town Hall flagpole be one of the flagpoles that's like included in this plan. So that is my hope, is that both flags will be up at the same time.
You know, June 19th is Father's Day.
I
It's a
did not
lot
know
of things
that.
on that.
Yeah, it was tough getting the permit date because they have this thing now where you can't have events on the common more than 2 weekends a month, and some others.
Festival by the Lake.
Yeah, exactly. And Festival by the Lake is in June. And so I was trying to find a weekend day. But yeah, it is. Do you know, Nicole, if the Juneteenth flag raising is likely to actually be on Juneteenth, or would it be on some like peripheral day?
It could be, last year, I don't think we had it on that day. We had it like on a Wednesday or something.
Yeah.
We could do it any day of the week. So I'll find out what the calendar looks like, and maybe we could do like on a, like if the flagpole, whatever, if there's issues with that, if we had it like on Wednesday and then it went up on Wednesday, and then take it down and put the pride flag up for the Saturday for the event and everything. We'll see.
Elizabeth, what's it?
I was gonna say, I also think that if we can't have both of the flags up at one time, that it's perfectly fine to still have the Juneteenth flag up on Juneteenth. I think both, like, I mean, everyone who wants to be aware that Pride is the whole month of June is going to know that anyway, and the flag being down for a week is not going to make a major impact in that knowledge. And if we still are limited to just the Civic Center, that's so far from the town green anyway, like you can't see the two at the same time, right? So, I mean, I think if we can have them both up at the same time, yay, amazing, that's fantastic. And if we can't, we should continue to move forward with the Juneteenth flag being up for that full week.
I agree. You know, it's Juneteenth. I'm not going to take the Juneteenth flag down on Juneteenth. Like that's wacky talk. I'm for having it up.
I was just thinking, because you had the band, and so if it came to
Yeah.
town like, oh, they don't even have the pride flag up, like, I'm just,
Yeah.
but I mean,
I feel like we can also like do some of our own decorating. Like if we're having a little concert area, we can like put some flags up around the concert area and, all that kind of stuff. Yes, so that was my update about the flag thing. And so next month when we meet, hopefully I will have a decision. I don't know if they'll make a decision when I meet with them in 2 weeks, or maybe they're going to, like, someone will go off and try to draft additional language for the policy, and then they'll decide on it probably the following month. But hopefully we'll get a decision out of them. And for background, the reason that this is an issue is that Wakefield is like very, very cautious about opening themselves up to the risk that they would have to fly the flag of a hate group, which is like not that far-fetched of an issue. So they originally wrote this flag policy that would allow us to raise the pride flag, but wouldn't put them at risk of having to then raise any other flag that anybody wanted to do. So it's like very specifically worded in this particular way. And it happened to, the way it's worded is that if you are a town body that uses the AmeriCall Civic Center for a town sponsored event, then you can raise your flag at the AmeriCall Civic Center flagpole. And the edit that I've asked them to make is that, like, leave that all intact if that's the thing that's safest for the town legally, but expand it to not one flagpole, but more than one flagpole. So it's like, if you are a town body that is having a town sponsored event at the AmeriCall Civic Center, you can raise your flag at the town flagpole at town hall or whatever. So we'll see. Danielle, I saw your hand go up for a second. Did you?
I think you answered my question. I was going to ask, every time a new flag is risen, does the council have to vote to approve it? But I guess if it's just grounds for, if you're a town body, you have an event at the American Civic Center, then that doesn't really, right? They don't have to vote on it.
Yeah, I think that's the point of the policy, is that it's like already, like, there's already a system in place for the flag to go up. But then we just would call them and be like, hey, we've met the conditions of the flag policy. Can you please raise our flag on Tuesday or whatever? Any other thoughts or questions about this flagpole situation? Cool. All right, we jumped around a little bit. I want to go back to, oh, the only one that I've skipped was the land acknowledgement. I'll just give you an update, which is the land acknowledgement. I shared it with a woman named Heather Lavelle, who is the founder of Italians for Indigenous Peoples Day, and also like is very involved in like Indigenous advocacy, and she forwarded it along. She read it and like gave some commentary and forwarded it to 2 members of the Massachusetts Tribe at Ponkapow Tribal Council. So they're looking at it. I haven't heard back from them, but that's where we're at. And when we hear back from them, then we will have a finalized land acknowledgement that we can use at our events and at our meetings. The plan is to use it at our monthly HRC meetings as well. So stay tuned for that. Any questions about that? Thoughts, reactions? Yeah, Stephen, go ahead.
I'm just curious if there would be any advocacy or any like thought to if you would share that land acknowledgement with other town bodies.
Yeah, I think that was totally the scheme, is that we were going to do the legwork, get something good, and then if we can use that legwork, like help other town bodies, then have sort of a head start by using that land acknowledgement or creating one based on that, whatever we can do to help make that an accessible process for people. I think that was the hope.
Great.
Yeah, I will keep you posted. Are you thinking about this from the perspective of the school committee?
Thinking about it for every kind of body.
Yeah.
It's just it's worth thinking about.
Yeah. Let's see, land acknowledgement, mental health, we already talked about. Flag policy, talked
Land
about.
acknowledgement question.
Yes.
I wonder like what you or what we as a group think about other bodies in Wakefield that aren't official town bodies drawing from the work that's been done.
Okay, my reaction off the top of my head is I don't see why not. I feel like more is more better. My motto.
That was my thought, and I wanted to like check in with other people too.
Yeah, I mean, there's some part of our land acknowledgement is tailored to a human rights perspective. Like that was part of, we wanted to make it specific to this body and like not ignoring the ways in which we benefit from in our you know, growing out of human rights traditions in Indigenous communities. And that could be true for any town body or other, you know, folks in town or whatever group, is to sort of tailor it to speak to their own, like whatever their sphere is. So I feel like if people can do that, that's good. Yeah. What I wouldn't really want to have happen, which I think having sort of intentional conversations with folks who would like to use that land acknowledgement would be, there are certain things about it that you could probably drop if you were not part of the HRC, like talking about human rights might not be that relevant if you were like the Wakefield Garden Club. But there are parts of it that you should not drop. Like it's been very clearly communicated that the land acknowledgement should not just be a statement, but should be an action. So there's some component of it that is tied to taking action and not just passive. So if we were to, you know, help other folks use that statement as a starting point or as their statement, I think it would just be important to have a conversation of like, take some license with editing this, and there are some parts that you really should not be editing out because that's like the core of what makes this a meaningful statement. Anyway, but those conversations can happen when they happen. Any other thoughts on that?
Benny, if you want help reaching out to different commissions to like let them know about the land acknowledgement, what they can edit, I'd be happy to help take the logs. We have a bunch of commissions in
There's
this
like
town.
60 of them.
So I don't mind like taking, you know, the bottom half of the list, and we can just email the commissioners of each and just let them know that it's there. If that's how we would tackle that and share it.
Cool. Yeah, once we get whatever response we end up getting from the Massachusetts tribe, then I appreciate that. Yeah, and we can be reaching out to people. Cool. Let's see, Yana's not here. School committee updates. Oh wait, the monthly set of thank you notes. So Jeremy's not here, but he texted me earlier and said that it was fine with him if we wanted to discuss this meeting item without him. So if you recall, Jeremy had brought up this idea a couple meetings ago of sending out sort of like thank you notes to people who have supported the HRC in various ways and doing sort of like one a month to like strengthen those relationships and celebrate the support that we've gotten. So he was saying it would be nice to, I think he had planned to kind of like write something up for us to look at, but I don't think that's happened. So he was saying if we want to vote on who the first one, like who we would like to do first, and then he and I could write something up and send it along to the commission to look at. So in a previous meeting, we had brainstormed a couple of people that we could do thank yous to, or shout outs, I think is what he had originally called them. So the folks that we already brainstormed were WCAT, Glavia Smith, who's the director of the Wakefield Metco program, the folks who have come to speak at the HRC so far, which were Sue and Jerry, who spoke about being the children of Holocaust survivors, and Jim Bennett, who spoke about Native American history. The Veiled Valkyrie, who is like a small business owner who donated some money to us recently, and also Greenwood Liquor, which is a business that donated money to us like 2 years ago. So those were the folks that we had brainstormed already. Are there other ideas that people have that we would love to like celebrate connections that we have in town or support that we've gotten?
I would like
Daniela,
to,
and then
I would
see
like
Daniela.
to, sorry.
I see Daniela and then Sherry.
What about Heather Lavelle, who's helping us finalize the land acknowledgement? I don't know if there were others who were involved in that.
There were
but-
others, yeah, but maybe some of those folks, yeah. Sherry, go ahead.
Yes, I was thinking that since we are not allowed to make a donation to WCAT and they have been such a tremendous help to us, that we would start with them.
Lindsay.
Hi, I'm related to mental health specifically, but if we are going to be using the Youth Advisory Council to like help promote our events, I don't think that's a terrible idea either. I don't know.
To do a shout out to the youth council.
Yeah, yeah.
What else? Other ideas that are bubbling up for people?
I know when we first discussed this in our group with Jeremy, I think the idea, and I don't know if it would be like the health department or the people that took that were kind of the head of when all this was happening with COVID. I think we have a nurse or there's a group of people I think that were involved in all that. And I know that was something that we discussed briefly about their role, I know in the past 2 years, which I think has been exhausting, but just to kind of give them a shout out.
Cool. Lindsay, go ahead.
I can like speak to this in like an odd way. I'm a member. I'm a member of the Medical Reserve and the Red Cross, and they have been volunteering in Wakefield and elsewhere, doing the COVID clinics, the testing clinics, and elsewhere. Lisa, what is her last name? It's escaping me, but I'll email it to you. Her name is Lisa with 2 eyes, which is like really cool, but she's been wonderful in orchestrating all of these events for area towns, not just Wakefield, but Stoneham, Lynn, Salem, everywhere. So the medical reserve has been a huge asset to all of the area communities in helping with the COVID response and with testing and with vaccinations and elsewhere in schools. I've volunteered personally in schools doing the vaccination. So in Wakefield specifically as well. So maybe just organizations like that who help overall, not just Wakefield, but area communities that are kind of like they're not state organizations, they're volunteer run, such as the medical reserve and things like that. So
Cool.
What else? Other ideas that should be on the list? Okay, well, we will have more opportunities. For now, so Sherry mentioned doing WCAT. Of those folks that I'll put a word out for, there's something that feels like timeliness maybe would be a thing that's beneficial. So although WCAT has given us a huge amount of support, something like sending something to Sue and Jerry, who spoke to the commission like 3 months ago, like probably sooner rather than later would be good for one like that. So that's also on my mind. What are other thoughts people have about which we might want to do first?
I agree with that.
Sherry, and then I
I
see
think when
it.
someone does something as immediate as Jerry, Sue, and Jim did, we should have sent them thank you notes right away.
Yeah, I did. I mean, I emailed them and was like, you are so great. Thank you so much for everything you did. But I didn't send them like a personalized letter, which is what I think this was planning to do. Yeah. Elizabeth.
I think I'm inclined toward either of the folks who show up at our meetings to do some like educational pieces for us, or so like Sue and Jerry, or I've lost his name now, the man who studies Indigenous history.
Oh yeah, Jim.
Jim. I lean more towards like those folks or folks who have helped us and been supportive resources specifically towards events that we have done, which I realize is like my vague feedback. But that feels really particular to our work as the HRC body.
Oh, and Glavia also came to speak to us. Okay. So it sounds like at the top of the list are folks who have come to speak to the commission and shared their sort of expertise, their stories, their whatever is studies, and also WCAT, which does a huge amount of support for all of our events. So we can probably start at that end of the list. Yeah. And
Vinny, one second. You said Greenwood Wine Liquors made. Well, you know that the owner, she's gone now. It's a new owner. She moved to Florida.
oh no, I
So
didn't
it's
know
not.
that.
So it's not the same. It wouldn't be the same person.
Okay.
Okay.
Great. Thank you for sharing that. Okay. So I think what's going to happen is, what do you think? Okay. Would it be weird? Like, one thing I'm thinking about is, could we send out a thank you to all the folks who have spoken in our meetings, Sue, Jerry, Jim, and Glavia, all in 1 month? Or like, is there a reason to wait or space them out or whatever?
All in 1 month.
Yeah. So we could do them first. So I think what I'll do is be in touch with Jeremy to draft whatever it is that we're going to send to them. And then everyone can stay tuned. Oh, Lindsay, I see you. Or maybe you're frozen. Did you want to say something?
Oh no, I agree. I think everyone in 1 month that would be great. I'm so grateful for the speakers that I've seen and for all of them. So yeah, that would be great.
Cool. Okay, excellent. Alrighty. The next one, I think, in my slightly mixed up agenda is Stephen, if you have any school committee updates that you want to share, what's been going on over in your neck of the woods?
I could share some stuff. Let's see. I could maybe Lindsay might be interested in knowing that in terms of mental health, we have added some COVID positions that were related to mental health that were funded by some federal grant money. We've made them some permanent positions. So specifically to sort of youth mental health, trying to address some things that we clearly see deficiencies in terms of sort of support. And I think that's just great all around. So that's a very concrete thing, which is good. We're seeing some really nice work being done on some diversity curriculum as it relates as a whole for some of the work being done by like Jason Pavey and his team. And then also in specifically the Indigenous curriculum work is being done with some help from Michie Lesser. So that's been, I don't know if I know Nicole was at the at her presentation from Parent University. That was great. So just I think sort of the things that are going on in district as it relates to sort of human rights and perspective and sort of having windows in on other cultures is it's a governmental body. It's slow moving, but it is absolutely progressing in the right direction. So it's good to see sort of small changes. And then just something that's kind of more recently, we added Indigenous Peoples Day to the calendar. I just thought that was important. It felt like maybe, you know, folks weren't necessarily standing in the streets hollering for it, but I think just it's about time. And I think it was just good to see that happen. So I think that was kind of mental health, diverse curriculum, more cultural, you know, sort of knowledge. And then, yeah, that's kind of what's happening in schools. Sorry, I haven't been around very much. Our schedules are colliding on our school committee schedule has been crazy. So I was really happy I could make this meeting. It feels like it's been a while.
Yeah, glad that you're here. Same with the reason Yana's not here today is that there's a youth council meeting today. It's like, stop stealing our commissioners, other commissions. Okay, Danielle.
It's our day job. Yeah.
You're muted.
I think I'd be better at that. All right. I had a question. I saw a post on the community page a while ago, and I'm not sure if we covered or if you had presented about it, but CRT, is that a topic? Is that in Wakefield Public School curriculum? Is it? No. Okay. So
It's not taught in schools. It's a college course anyway. Sorry, it's there. I think that the school committee is labeling more culturally responsive teaching, right, Stephen?
That just happens to be the same acronym. That people will easily confuse the two. They want to confuse the two. And so one, you could argue whether one is derived from the other, but we are just trying to give the students sort of windows in on other cultures so that they can have empathy for the way that other people thought, having a more open mind to others' views and perspectives. It sort of derives out of the ethos that is the Wakefield public school system, right? Lifelong learners and trying to grow good citizens, right? So that's where it comes from. It is not critical race theory by any stretch, but.
That's helpful. Thank you. Yeah, I didn't want to like ask people on a Facebook group. I was like, I'll ask someone who I know is on the commission. And I was like, I'm sure it might even come up. But okay, thank you. That's helpful.
Sure.
Cool. Okay, so the last thing on here is the budget. And Sherry, thank you for
I'm
doing.
gonna jump off just because now I gotta go do bedtime.
Okay, thank
for-
you.
for
Thanks
the
for being
littles.
here.
But thank you for having me. It was great seeing everybody.
Yeah.
Take care.
Bye, Stephen.
Bye.
We're gonna have
Thank
to
you,
pop off in
Sherry.
about 5 minutes as well. But
Okay.
This will take 30 seconds. We managed to spend every bit of our allotted budget for the year. In fact, we spent $82 or $84 over budget, which is still very good. And we have over $1,000 in discretionary money that rolls over into next year so that we can use for major expenditures or larger events or something a little bit more expensive. So that is where we stand financially. So we've used up our money, but we do have that discretionary money.
And, oh, go ahead.
I wish that, and I haven't had any success in this yet, I wish I could get budget reports that actually told me what the money was being spent on. Instead, it just says supplies. It doesn't tell me for what purpose or reason. They don't put that kind of memo into the reports, but I'm hoping that maybe we can get that. So we'll have a better idea of what we actually spend. So we'll know for the future what things cost us. And that's more than 30 seconds, I'm sorry.
I was going to ask, and this is not necessarily a question for you, Sherry. I don't know if you know about this, but so we bought all the Hate Has No Home Here signs, which we then sell back and recoup the cost of. What happens to that money? Does it go into that revolving fund?
It goes back into our general fund, yes.
The
It
one that
goes-
rolls over?
No, actually it doesn't. I think it goes back into our general budget because it's money that came out of the general budget. Maria, do you know?
I have to check. It was so long ago that I bought the signs, but I think I bought them originally. I think I got reimbursed out of the HRC account for the total. And so as we continue making that money back, yes, I think it goes into the HRC account, but which one, I don't know. I don't know. I don't think, I mean, the budget is allocated from the town fund. So I would think that it would go into our revolving, the one that has $1,000. I don't think you can put money back into your budget. I think only town council can allocate, and then the finance committee can allocate that.
I will make that
line
a
item.
to-do that I take care of, this month before the next meeting.
Yeah.
Although I won't be treasuring maybe next meeting, but I'll make sure that the information is available. I'll find out.
Lindsay.
Sorry, I'm just curious, do we need funding for anything like specifically, or do we need more money? Because if so, if that's like if fundraising or like money for HRC specifically is an issue, like can we talk about that separately? Or I just wasn't sure if we needed more funding or if that was an issue at all.
Yeah, I mean, I think one thing that we've been running up against is, especially for some of the events we're doing where we're bringing performers, or if we have somebody who's coming to give a keynote speech or something, it would be important to be able to compensate those people. And you can't do very many events on a $1,000 budget. Like if you're paying people, fairly for their time and their expertise. So I think more money is always good. I don't know that we can fundraise. I did write a grant though. We got a grant. So that's a thing we can do.
So I don't know like I don't know what it looks like or how we can get money, but if we can somehow, like I said, like mental health can be incorporated into literally everything. So if we can find a way to do that, like there might be some funding in that, or grants, or some sort of donations that could be found that could support both the cause that we are promoting in addition to other causes.
I think that money though, Lindsay,
Secondary
would
most
have to
the
go
cause that
more
we're promoting, so.
to another town body, because we are not,
Okay.
I understand, but we're not, I think we're
So we
like,
can give money to that, or like money can be put towards that or given to that. Like if someone wanted to make like a donation towards something that you were running or that we were running like through HRC or something, we can do that privately or through a nonprofit or something.
I
Okay,
think
there's like a couple
Teresa can
different
speak to
questions. Wait,
that.
hold on. There's like 3 different questions happening at the same time, and Teresa has had her hand up for a minute. So one question is, can we fundraise? The answer is no. One question is, Can we accept donations? Answer, yes. Can we write grants and accept grant funding? Yes. And then like writing grants specifically for mental health services doesn't seem to be a fit. But we can write grants for, you know, for HRC.
Not for mental health, but if we can somehow like, okay, thank you. You answered it. Thank you.
Teresa. And then Sherry, you had your hand up. Thanks.
I just had a question because I never submitted anything for the MLK Day. I know I have my receipts, but I totally like my life has been kind of crazy with work. So I haven't, is there a deadline when you can submit stuff?
I
No.
don't think so. I asked this question because I found my own receipt that I had forgotten about for a
Okay.
long time. And I emailed Sherry and I was like, is it past the deadline? And she said no. So
Okay. So we just bring him and leave him like in a nice envelope for her and that's it?
you have to
In the
be,
town?
you know, email Sherry Dalton because
Okay.
you have to be approved as like a vendor or something. You have to like fill out
Oh,
a
okay.
tax form basically. And then
Oh, okay.
they'll write you a check for the,
Yeah, no.
once you do
I
that, you just
totally
do that
forgot.
one time. And then anytime after that, you just send her your
You
receipts. And
just,
she'll send you a check.
okay. All right, thank you.
I was just pointing to Teresa because she managed to acquire, I should say, donations so that we could run that Hispanic Heritage Program in
I
September.
didn't request donations. It was given to me in a very nicely manner.
Yes, so, but that is how we were able to have that rather
Right.
elaborate program with professional performers.
Yeah. Yeah, it's expensive.
It
You know, I
was.
mean, yeah, like I didn't realize, but yeah, everything costs money. So, yeah.
Lindsay, go ahead.
Sorry. So I guess I was asking Nicole to speak to what you just said. Like, is there a way that a nonprofit mental health organization could donate to something related to HRC and have that be okay? Like, for example, I run a practice that is a mental health practice, but could, I guess, support other causes that are related to, I think mental health is a human rights issue. And there are many articles to support this separate conversation, but it really is like mental health is a human rights issue. So like Human Rights Commission does align, we should be aligning with that more than we do, or at least tying it in somewhere. It is a human rights issue, but separate conversation from that, like could a mental health organization or a nonprofit or organization or proprietor, whatever, donate towards HRC or events that you specifically are running through your subcommittee or otherwise? That's
I
kind
mean,
of what
I
wanted
guess
to know,
it's
I guess.
fine. Benny said it, but what I was saying is that we are, I think, focusing on trying to gain sponsorships around mental health is out of our area, and that would be better, you know, like the other programs that we were just talking about. And I'm not denying that it's not a human rights issue, but
No,
you
but I
know,
mean,
like we don't want,
could my agency support yours is what I meant. Like, could
I don't
my
have an
mental health
agency.
agency donate or towards your event or whatever you might be running through whatever subcommittee? That's what I meant specifically. I'm sorry, I wasn't very clear.
So anybody
Like,
can
could I
make a
donate to your
donation.
subcommittee?
Okay.
Okay,
first,
okay, that's
anybody can make a donation.
okay.
Like we got a donation from a liquor store, right? Like anybody. So I'm hoping that that's basically the answer to that question.
Every time we get a donation, we cannot actually put it in our account until it is approved by the town council. So I am not sure that someone can donate and earmark and say, I only want it used for this purpose. I'm not sure that is permissible.
That's probably true. And I also want to just say, Lindsay, you were saying, Nicole, can I donate to you? Like, this isn't really about Nicole. I don't know.
Well, no, I meant to her like events, like if she were promoting something for Pride or something
This is-
for
nothing is-
or something for specific to the month,
None-
not just
none of this is
to
my-
Nicole,
none of
to
these are
and
my
to an
events.
event. No, I didn't mean you specifically. I
Yeah.
apologize. To an event that someone's like getting a performer for or something like that.
Yeah. An HRC event, right? It's not like a Nicole.
Yes.
So what might not be okay though, is it might not be okay for us to donate to HRC events, right? So it's different if it is, and I don't know because I don't know this, but I know that like having worked in fundraising significantly, it's one thing to like accept an outside unsolicited donation, but we may not be able to make donations ourselves to our own, to an event that we are part of planning.
Yeah, so
'Cause
if
it's
I'm
not
like
really-
trying to
Not
bring
really
in, trying to bring in
But could
like
a
an artist.
company or could like an agency, could an agency make a donation towards an event that we are planning as the HRC?
My concern is that if it's an agency where we work or where we are involved, it isn't really unsolicited because we are bringing the knowledge of the like donation seeking, right?
It's possible that this is a question for Tom. Like if we're getting into some gray area of like conflict of interest or solicited donations or whatever, maybe we should find out more, more of the nuance from him. Because, yeah, I don't know.
Do you want me as treasurer to ask Tom?
Sure.
Okay.
Yeah, that could be good. He was certainly very clear when I asked him about making a donation to WCAT. It's like, absolutely not. You cannot do that.
So the thing we'd like to find out is if an organization that a commissioner has a relationship with wants to make a donation, is that allowable or not? Is that what we're looking towards?
Yes.
Okay.
I don't know if you can see me, but that's what I'm specifically asking. Is there an organization that I am affiliated with that can make a donation on the organization's behalf because we support what the HRC does as a
I will also check with him. I know that, someone can say, oh, I'd like to donate to help support that event. But if it's something other than a specific already planned event, is that allowable? Like if someone wants to earmark it for a purpose and says, I want this money to go towards this particular kind of initiative.
commission.
I'll find out about
So
that
can
as
someone
well.
on the commission, such as myself, like in my agency, could I donate to the commission on behalf of any event, or does it have to be specific, or just to the commission itself? Can I do that?
You can just donate
Or
to the
my
commission.
agency, rather, the agency? Oh, okay, thank you.
Yeah, I think most of the donations we get are just kind of like general donations to the HRC.
Okay.
All right,
Because
sure.
in the end, Benny, it just all goes into one pot.
It's one pot, yeah.
That's what I thought. Okay.
I mean, it might be sort of like in the mind of the donor, like I would like to support this event, so I'm going to give money to the HRC. In the end, though, it all goes into the same pot. Yeah. Sherry, do you feel like you have the question you need that you're going to ask Tom? Okay, good.
Yep.
Great.
To that,
Great.
sorry. To that end, I wanted to, similar to Teresa, I have an outstanding receipt from the buttons that I ordered a while ago. Really sorry. And we are out of buttons also. So I know we already voted to buy more, but I just wanted to give a heads up that I will be ordering those. So I'll have 2 receipts to submit. But yeah, they were each, the last time I ordered them, they were under $100. So it won't break the bank.
And in this particular case, I guess we'll have to take it out of the revolving fund because we've used up our regular budgeted funds.
Yeah. Lindsay.
Okay, thank you. I love being annoying today. I'm so sorry. So how do people submit directly to this pool of HRC money towards buttons, events, performers, or whoever we want to support? Because I love what HRC stands for. So I would love for my company to make a donation towards anything and everything that they stand for. So how does that happen, and who do we make this
Well,
out to?
First, let me find out if it's appropriate for a sitting commissioner who has a relationship to the donor to make a donation. Let me find out. Let me clarify that with Tom Mullen first.
Yeah,
Also with the town, I live in Wakefield, so I have a relationship with the town too.
yeah. So that's exactly the question that Sherry needs to ask.
Mhm.
So we can find out from Tom Mullen about that. Making a donation is pretty straightforward. I think you like make a check out to the town of Wakefield. And like maybe you put it in the memo or something that is for the HRC.
Mhm.
And then the person needs to, I don't know how they actually give it to the town. Because at some point it needs to go before the town meeting and the town council needs to like approve and then like disperse that money or something.
Yeah, I think they usually make the donation out to the town of Wakefield and you go before town council, because if you didn't ask for approval from town council, my understanding is it goes into the general town fund. So you go before town council and ask them to put it towards the Human Rights Commission. My concern with a sitting commissioner making a donation to the commission that they currently sit on is the concern about an undue influence on the board. So yeah, I would check with Tom Mullen about that. And that's not implying you specifically, Lindsay, not at all. This is just a general question of a sitting member of a board giving a donation to the board could, yeah, raise a concern.
Napoleon.
I'm sorry, I meant to ask about the, I got an email from Officer Randall about the active bystander, and I forgot to ask you to edit. Can we talk about it the next meeting? Put it on the agenda for the next meeting. I'm supposed to go to the wave tomorrow, but I don't have an answer.
We have, I mean, the next thing on the agenda is matters not anticipated. So do you want to talk about it right now?
Sure. So has there been any movement from, does anybody know, are they saying that yes, they might be going back in person, or we're just still at a standstill until maybe the fall, doing something with the youth, since spring sports and everything is coming up? I don't know if we're going to be able to get people to the youth to join. I'm not sure. What do you think, Emma, with prom and all that?
At least for the seniors, I know we're very busy right now, but I'm sure if it's like on a weekend maybe, or one of the less busier days like Monday, they could probably make it work. I'm just not sure about when we have events and everything, so I'd have to check in with that. But if you could let me know dates whenever we get there, that would be good.
So
Sherry.
Sherry, yeah, sorry, go ahead.
I was going to ask Sherry. Do you know?
I have not been given any indication they're going live. I mean, everything I've seen scheduled has been virtual.
Yeah, I think that's still, I'm happy to reach out to Beryl and see if they have any kind of like roadmap for when they're going back to in-person, because that'll be the, like, that's the like thing. Once they go back to in-person events, then we can talk about trying to schedule it.
She's away right now. Wait another week. So she's,
Good to know.
I think she's away through most of the month, actually.
Yeah, so for now, I think we're still at a standstill, Nicole, until I can get some information about that. Okay, any other matters not anticipated? Right. Sherry, you want to take us down the action list?
Yep, let me page up. Okay. Benny's going to make sure the link to the video recording is posted on our webpage. This is for MLK CSK Day. And now my Person doesn't want to do anything. Okay, here we go. And you're also going to check to see if we can have a hybrid general meeting and live subcommittee meetings. Nicole is going to contact the Juneteenth committee about our events since they book up early and we better hurry. Benny is going before the town council to gain approval on using 2 flag poles. Daniela is going to assist in contacting other town bodies relative to our land acknowledgement once it's approved. Benny and Jeremy are going to craft a thank you letter, and the first one is going to go to the people, Flavia, Jerry, Sue, and Jim, who made presentations at our regular commission meetings. Then we get to finance. I'm going to find out where the hate has no, I'm going to get confirmed that where the hate has no home here sign income goes, the regular budget or the revolving, although we assume it's the revolving account. And I'm also going to get in touch with Tom Mullen about all those issues of donations that have come up. And last, then he's going to check with Quabbin once Sue's Beryl is back about when they're going to start delivering live sessions. Like I said, everything I've seen scheduled for the next couple of months has been virtual. So we need a motion to adjourn if we're done.
So moved.
I'm sorry, I meant for Benny to say that, not me. I was just suggesting she said it so we can go home. Or
You
we're home.
said it.
Okay.
Is there a second for the motion?
Second.
Okay. Teresa, what do you think?
Yes. Yes.
Maria,
Yes.
Daniela,
Yes.
Nicole,
Yes.
Elizabeth,
Yes.
Sherry,
Most definitely.
Emma,
Yes.
Lindsay.
Yeah.
If you're there, yes. Okay. And I also say yes. All right, everybody. Thank you so much.